5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice.
You're the first one to talk, so the countdown was only for you.
Welcome to Movie the Podcast. That's right, Movie the Podcast. It is. We changed things up for all of you that were in. Well, not really. So we decided to go with Lunar New Year. So all Chinese movies in lieu of all romance movies, and Sean
I doubled down
on a double and gave us a Chinese romance movie. So
I didn't want to be a pedant and be like, well, it's from Hong Kong and not China because it's in Chinese, but it's technically not Chinese. I don't know. I didn't want to get way deep in the weeds on it.
It's fine. It's Chinese enough.
It's certainly
Same.
Chinese.
They would probably beg to differ.
Yeah. John Cena would say it was Chinese.
Well, yeah, he knows where the money's coming from.
Yeah.
So we watched 2046.
That's right. Prequel to Blade Runner 2049.
Blade Runner 2046.
3 years too early. And I guess we'll talk about it at some point.
It's going to be another Thanos knife review.
Yeah, it's a split decision at best.
This is going to be a classic 2v2 episode. I already know. I actually had the pleasure. This is also interesting, right? Because I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I was going to say it during the
Chinese people are sexy.
Well, that's true, but no.
That's not a debate.
This might be the sexiest movie we've watched.
We've brought this up several times that watching the movie with everybody enhances the film. This was probably the worst movie to watch.
Yeah, this is not a movie to throw out to.
Yeah, because I got the pleasure of watching it with Alec and Gogs, and this was maybe the example of this isn't the best movie to watch in a
the whole time you're just sitting there going, maybe our friendship will end one day.
Yeah,
we thought you were trying to break up with us. You just wanted us to do it.
Gog said it several times, actually, and he's not even kidding. Is Sean mad at us?
What do we do to Sean?
Sean's just not going to show up on the podcast anymore and just block us all on his phone and Facebook.
All social media.
He's like, I'm going to make him watch this movie, and then I'm out.
But I'm secretly going to try to date Anthony, and then he's going to get shot by the Viet Cong.
All right, let's get into what we watched this week besides 2046. Sean,
nothing. Alec,
I watched parts of a few things and then one whole movie.
Nice.
Can you talk about the parts of the things as if they were one movie together?
All right, so it's a 1993 science fiction banger starring Rowan Atkinson, Greg Kinnear, and Jason Bourne.
Hell yeah!
Wow,
I'd watch it.
So Jurassic English.
Dear God! Oh,
so Jurassic
new rules,
Park,
by the way.
I watched half of Jurassic Park, the middle half. I missed the first part and the end. But that movie. That movie is fucking amazing and tremendous. It is one of those movies that, if you don't like Jurassic Park, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Is Jurassic Park?
We're all best friends, and we disagree on a lot of movies. But if you don't like Jurassic Park, fuck you, man. I don't that movie is so good.
It's
Alec,
not
let me ask you, is Jurassic Park the perfect 4-quadrant blockbuster, the movie that really appeals to everybody and is also very good?
I would think so, yeah. I can't think of anything that would hit every touchstone of that like Jurassic Park does. It's funny. It's terrifying at points. You care about the characters even though you're given almost no chance to bond with any of them, but you can immediately are invested in them all. Even people like Muldoon. You give a shit about Muldoon. The only person in the whole movie you don't care about is Wayne Knight.
Yeah.
Newman for the uninitiated. But yeah, man, that movie slaps. I gotta watch the whole thing at some point again.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Muldoon because they do a good job making him not just mustache twirling evil.
Muldoon's
like,
not evil.
Right, but like in a lesser movie, he
Oh,
is.
yeah, in a lesser movie, he could be, yeah. Like, he's...
Wait, Muldoon?
Yeah, the hunter.
Wait, who are you talking about, Sean? You're talking about the Australian guy, right?
Yeah, the clever girl. Yeah. Because like in another movie, he'd be like, "I secretly ate these dinosaurs, and I'm gonna take all their tails."
What's his name? Peter, the guy from Braveheart and Inception, who passed away. Peter something. The guy, he had like a wacky face, but he was like the lead hunter.
Pete Postlethwaite? The guy from The Usual Suspects
in Jurassic Park 2.
Yeah,
and he kind of was like, oh, I hate dinosaurs. It's like, how do you feel that this
dinosaur fucked my wife? It did. That kind of shit.
Yeah, like who? I mean, they're not real in our universe, but who hates dinosaurs?
Right?
Like,
idiots.
I don't know. I'm tired of cleaning up their crap. Their litter box is full all the time.
The only time
weebs, I guess.
Well, I guess like the way you craft it as a shitty villain is the Chappie thing, where it's like, this is in defiance of God's will, which I guess would be like a motivation, but... I
forgot about that.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Jurassic Park, like, slaps. Like, it's one of those movies that's like
Another movie that's better than the book, and I think by a lot.
Yes.
I never read the book.
It can be very tedious and like overly sexy, if that makes any sense. Like it's like very like trashy in parts.
Weird.
Yeah, that's Michael Crichton for you.
Yeah,
he's a trashy guy.
Yeah.
So who fucks in the book?
I think it was fucking Ian Malcolm. Like I think there's like a pretty, if I recall, there's like some sex stuff in there.
Weird.
So I watched part of that. We were in a hotel Friday night, so I watched part of a couple of movies because it was just like HBO, so it was whatever was on at that moment. We got like
the old school,
the
old way.
We're just flipping through like what's the best option that's in something right now.
Wait a minute, why is HBO channel 86 and ESPN is 2?
Watched part of Johnny English 3, which man,
wow.
They made a Johnny English 3?
Didn't know they made a 2. Man.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Like, I mean, like...
Do you have to watch the first 2 Johnny Englishes?
Yeah.
Not really. I don't think to understand the plot motivation. Basically, it's if Mr. Bean was James Bond. Like,
I remember the first one.
Mr. Bond.
It's terrible. Like, but Brits love Mr. Bean so goddamn much. Like Rowan Atkinson is like, he's literally royalty over there. I'm pretty sure he's knighted.
Yeah, they love him.
Like, he's he does exactly what you would think. He's Mr. Beans his way through mystery.
I like that.
Espionage.
Mr. Beans his way.
Does he talk?
Yeah, he talks.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't just like. I wish he just did like the mumble shit.
That would be way better.
Yeah. But yeah, it's exactly what you would expect from a Mr. Bean spy movie. Watch part of, and I got to rewatch this and watch the whole thing. Part of Stuck on You.
Fucking love that movie.
Which I've seen before, and I remember really enjoying, but haven't seen it in a while. But I really want to watch that again and watch the whole thing and get the full ambiance. Watch some of the parts are like some of the stuff we watch. It's just so funny. Like the Farrelly brothers are really funny guys.
Yeah, I saw that in the theater. I kind of stand those guys. There's that scene. I don't know if it was in the bit you saw where Greg Kinnear has the girl over. And Matt Damon's trying to write the book. He's like, "Hey, you mind typing on your knees for a minute?"
Yeah.
Not Eva Longoria. Eva Mendes is in that movie. She meets them at their hotel they just moved to.
Yeah.
And they're like grilling on like the shitty hotel grill, and she's just really bubbly and friendly. And she's just like having a conversation with a million actors and shit. And then she's like, "Hey, you guys are conjoined twins."
Yeah.
Anyway, here's my agent's number. Like, it's just like totally nonplussed. Like, whatever.
What is the name of the show that they're doing? Honey and the Bees, the fucking cop show where Matt Damon has to have like the green screen suit on. So
yeah,
they
that's
can
why he's
edit
doing all
them out.
those awesome stunts because like Matt Damon's like supporting his body, Greg Kinnear's body weight. Meryl Streep is really funny. Cher is really funny.
Yeah. The guy Rocket, the fucking retarded guy that's on their hockey team. Hey, good shot, Rob. Fuck yours, Bob. Fuck you, Rocket. The goalie for the town hockey team that take up the entire fucking goal.
God, like I really do appreciate the fact that they take developmentally disabled people and put them in all their movies.
Yeah, and they're not like a joke. They're just part of
they're just
cast,
there, and usually they're the ones goofing on the actual like main actors. Yeah. I really do love that. And I didn't watch all of it, but I was reading some stuff about it as I was watching, and like Ricky Williams is in like a half a scene as like their football coach when they flash back to high school. Like he doesn't have a line or anything. He's just there with like their high school team's like hat on, like coaching them.
Did you see Outside Providence, Alec?
Outside Providence.
That's the one with Alec Baldwin. It's the one that takes place in the 70s.
Oh yeah, that was
the prep school.
Yeah, that's one of the less like slapsticky, but it's still funny. But it's not ridiculous. Yeah. That movie's really good.
Yeah.
Is it Sean Ashton?
Yeah, that's actually I think my favorite of their movies. You got a letter from someone named Drugs Delaney? How many individuals named Drugs could you possibly associate with?
Yeah, so Stuck on You, that's still fun. I gotta watch that again. And the last thing I watched, I just watched it earlier today. It was okay. It's a movie called This Is Where I Leave You.
Oh, that's with Charlie Day, isn't it?
No.
What am I thinking of?
This has got Jason Bateman, Tina Fey, Adam Driver. As like a family is like sitting Shiva for their father dies.
Yeah.
And like there's like family drama and stuff. And I expected it to be a lot funnier than it was. It's a little funny, but it's a really dry kind of funny. It's directed by Sean Levy.
It's funny that Jason Bateman's in it because I cannot think of a more waspy human being than Jason Bateman.
Yeah. It was okay. It wasn't great. It was a little too long too. Rose Byrne is in. I think Rose Byrne is really funny, and like most things she's in,
like X-Men.
Yeah,
she was hilarious as Moira McTaggart.
She's not nearly as funny as January Jones in X-Men.
No, that's a different reason though. That's all I watched. Gogs.
I watched one other thing, and it's tabled. All the typical, all the normal, like, I don't know, plethora of children's movies I've watched regular. Unless people want to hear about Big Hero 6 again.
Have they watched Iron Giant yet?
Yeah, no.
How'd that go?
Iron Giant story. My Iron Giant, me and Vance watched Iron Giant. We shared that memory. We both watched it for the first time together.
Oh no.
Yeah, so like at the I'll just be brief about this. At the very end, like Vance like sitting in my lap, and he's like, "Is the giant gonna be okay?" And I'm like pulling back tears, going, "I think so, but I don't know."
Like none of us will be okay. None of us is getting out of this alive, boy.
Either that's shocking to me.
No, I'd never seen it. I absolutely adore that movie now, but I had never seen it previously.
Oh, the movie's so good.
Did you roll a tear at the Superman line?
Oh. Yeah, like when he's flying off to go get nuked. Mm-hmm. Like I just I was, and as soon as I realized what was going to happen, because I could tell Vance was like tensing up. He's like, "Oh no!" And I'm like, and in my mind, I'm like, "Oh no!" And I can't coach him through it because I don't know what's going to happen.
It's like that. You need that. Remember in that bit on The Simpsons where they're like, they're at the old folks' home and they were watching. I think what was it, the Casablanca?
No, with a happier ending.
No. It was Gone with the Wind.
Yeah,
it's like the now happy ending, and it's like, I have one thing. Frankly, madam, I love you. Let's get married.
Yeah. No, the only thing I watched with TJ after we watched 2046, and that's tabled. So
all right, so it's me.
I will move it on down to. Sean said nothing. Alex said, so we can talk about it now. I guess. TJ, is there anything else you watched?
I watched one thing. It's a shit TV show, but it's A24 distributed, so I think it almost counts as a movie. I watched all up to current episode of Euphoria. on HBO. I fucking love it. It's fantastic. It's like the best looking show. It's the best looking show I've seen since Too Old to Die Young, which I think is like an amazingly like shot show. It looks incredible. This show, first of all, it's like it looks amazing. Every episode looks like a fucking movie. The soundtracks, the soundtrack to each episode is incredible. It's written really well. Like the first episode, like it walks this tightrope of being kind of cringy, but like also kind of clever because you realize that the characters are going to be a little cringy because they're 17-year-old drug addicts.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned that he wrote a movie that I really like that suffers from a similar problem.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's the problem that the dialogue itself is cringy, or I'm just so out of touch that I don't understand how young people that young actually communicate.
Well, I think like I haven't, and the movie you're talking about is Assassination Nation, which I haven't seen yet, which I'm going to watch now because I liked Euphoria so much.
It's a good name, though.
But like Euphoria is like, I don't know, the thing, like it definitely it calms down a lot. The first episode, and it's a pilot, so I get it. They're trying to like, the pilot episode's trying to establish like the most extreme tone of the show, and a lot of times with the pilot, they're still trying to find the show, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you know how it is with a pilot. They could have shot that a year before they started working on the scripts for the actual show.
Right. And I will say, like, while I like the first episode and it grabs your attention, it's like super, like, it's like almost like a hyper reality. And the whole show kind of
like
is,
but Diablo Cody kind of thing?
Kinda. Not nearly as, like, cringy and annoying, but, like, it's definitely, like, extreme, right? Like and it's like the meme that goes around about the show. Like all the kids, like I made the comment today that Euphoria is A24 anime, and it really is. Like, because like it reminds me of like the Battle Royale manga where all the fucking like 15-year-old kids are like jacked and like they look like fucking Fist of the North Star characters. Because like in a way, like they're dealing with like teenage shit, but they're definitely like, I don't know, a little advanced in a lot of ways, and I don't know. I love it though. I think it definitely skirts the line, but I think it's a very interesting show. I think that it's written very well. I always go back to Sean because there's something Sean said about writing like characters that are generally like othered, and they just write them like characters. And I think like there's a trans character on the show, and like the entire point of her character isn't that she's trans. And I know that it's like a very low bar these days, but it's just nice to like have a character who's a character, and
which is funny because that there's a trans character in Assassination Nation that is not like lampshaded too much about being trans.
Yeah, and it's the same in this. Like it's really good, and like I don't know, I just really like I like the show so much that I started watching it. I watched the first episode on like Wednesday or Thursday or something, and then I was like, I'll keep watching it. And then I've watched every episode now up until like the fifth episode is coming out tonight of the second season. So I loved it. I powered right through it. I don't know. It's very, very good. And yeah, I highly recommend it. HBO got another good one on their hands.
What was that Hardlines article? HBO renews sad people fuck for a second season.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, and there is like the one thing that is like, I mean, it's impossible to not to not state it, but like there's a lot of nudity and stuff in the show, and it's a little weird because they're all supposed to be
high school kids,
17-year-old kids. But I don't know. I mean, all the actors are above legal age, and I think that like the idea, like I get what they're doing. Like it's ridiculous to think that kids aren't having sex. So like I don't. It's a weird thing.
I don't know. I wasn't having sex when I was a kid.
Oh, I know.
Same.
I remember you back then. You were quite the ladies' man. But anyway, it's a good show. I highly recommend it. I love it a lot, and I can't wait to. I will say the one thing that sucks about binging a show that's like still currently on is that like you go through that whole first season and you're like you just want to finish it completely, and it's not over yet. Like it just got renewed for a third season, so I kind of want to wait like 4 weeks.
I didn't even realize it was on a second season because like it seems like it just kind of entered the zeitgeist like a month ago.
Well, I thought it was a brand new show.
It's weird because like it came out like 2 years ago and nobody really talked about it, and then season 2 came out and I see a lot of people talking about it now. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a good show though. Also, Zendaya is like she's basically the lead in it. She's excellent. There's a bunch of good performances in it. The guy that I really liked who played like the pimp character in Zola is in it. I really like that guy. I can't think of his name. He was also like the only good part of the new Candyman movie. But yeah, it's really good. So the other thing that I watched was, and it was tabled, I watched it with Gogs, was Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, which somehow is the worst Resident Evil movie ever made.
That is an impossibly valid statement.
Real quick, besides the first one, I don't think I've seen a Resident Evil without one of you in attendance, because like all the ones we watched for the show, plus I watched the fucking one of the animated ones with Gogs just cause.
We watched one on the show.
Yeah.
We watched one of the animated ones on the show too.
Yeah, Gogs and I had a double feature of There Will Be Blood and Resident Evil Negative Differential Souffle Dome or whatever that one was.
Yeah. Their base popped, basically.
Gogs, like, what do you got to say about this awful movie?
This movie is
so bad.
After I watched it, I looked.
Is it a people movie or a cartoon movie?
It's a people movie.
Oh shit!
This movie had a fucking theatrical release, and like it came and went. Like no one talked about it.
I had what like after that in the 2046 movie, I had a Sean like, do I like movies anymore moment? Like,
well, don't bury the lead.
This I looked at TJ. I think I said that is this was the most unnecessary movie I've ever seen.
Oh my god!
Like it is like it's like if you just took buzzwords from all of the mainline Resident Evil games up until I guess Code Veronica. Like and
it's basically
and you're just sort of like, hey,
so the first three.
It's plus 0.
It's really just 0 and 1 and 2 because you don't get Nemesis in this movie. The other thing is like they spent all their time like the only thing that they really wanted to do was there's a shot of the police station that looks just like from the video game, and there's a shot of the mansion that looks just like the video game, and generally the characters are wearing like they look like advanced cosplayers. That's all. That's the end of the positive comments.
Why don't they just make a movie out of 4? That seems like a layup.
What I said to Gogs.
That's exactly what TJ said. Yeah, that'd be or just make a really good one about the first game because that would be easy too. But instead, so this movie takes place, I guess, during the first and second games. So you simultaneously have the stars going to the Arklay Mountains to visit the mansion, but they did the Resident Evil GameCube remake move where they had Lisa Trevor, the weird deformed monster girl, become part of this, and she was the orphanage friend of Chris and Claire Redfield.
Yeah, in this, Chris and Claire Redfield were raised in the fucking Raccoon
Were raised by the
City,
corporation?
Yeah, Raccoon City Orphanage or some dumb bullshit. Also, like there's a part where they're the Raccoon City Police Department, but at one point it just says Raccoon Police.
It says Raccoon Police, yeah. Like Jill Valentine, the Master of Unlocking, doesn't unlock anything. She is a sharpshooter, and she sort of wants to bone Albert Wesker. Albert Wesker
is so bad.
He's played for laughs. He's played like a weird, like bro-y sort of like frat boy douche nozzle. Like he's a douche,
and also like he betrays the team, but his like motivations are like so fucking stupid.
His motivations are a mystery to him. Like, he doesn't know why he's betraying the team.
And also the movie's hilarious because it's like, so basically Umbrella like locks down Raccoon City and they're going to nuke the city, which is canonical from the games. But there's this like
it's the only way to be sure.
There's this awful ticking clock in the movie where like there's like these long scenes, and then it cuts and they're like it's like 1:50 at the beginning of the scene, and then like by the end of that scene, it's like 2:00. Like, wait, what?
But it ticks off in strange intervals. Like it ticks off as like maybe it's 3 hours, maybe it's 10 minutes. Like
what movie you've ever seen where they like do the time thing where they're like 1:50? Like what?
Yeah. Like if the whole movie's supposed to take place in 15 minutes, okay, I'll buy it. But it's taking place over the course of 6 hours. Like I don't know.
It's
an absolute mess. It's like a mess, and it's like it's poorly done in all fronts.
Yeah,
like,
and it's like
poorly
directed.
It's
very cheap. Like it looks like.
Is it an R-rated movie?
Oh yeah.
It looks.
Well,
like
did they at least steer into like a bunch of like horrific gore gags? Like, did they go like, oh,
this looks like a pilot for like a WB Resident Evil movie.
Like they
barely
or
Resident Evil series.
Like the gore is really not there. It's really not good, and it's just. It's fine, but like everything looks like trash. Like all of the zombie birds. There's a scene with a zombie dog.
Oh god!
Hunting down like the police chief, who's played by the guy who was
Frost.
He was like the right hand man of what's his name in Blade.
He was his second hand. He also was in a sitcom that's been brought up on the show a lot. Grounded for Life.
That's
he was
right.
The lead actor in Grounded for Life.
Donald.
Yeah, he's got red
Donald
hair.
Logue.
Donald Logue, that's his name. Yeah.
He shows up. Oh my god, I guess you guys haven't seen it. He shows up in the most recent season of What We Do in the Shadows.
Hell yeah.
A whole bunch, playing Donald Logue, saying that after filming Blade, he had so much fun being a vampire, he actually became a vampire. And he's on like the World Vampiric Council.
That's fun. Okay, I like that.
He was in that show everyone talks about that nobody actually saw. Yeah,
I never watched it either.
No,
what show's that?
It was called
Terriers. It was like a private eye show or something on FX. Some kind of.
Did it have Elijah Wood?
No,
that was.
I think it was Donald Logue and like Thomas Jane or something.
Well, there's a scene where he's facing down one of those zombie dogs. And that zombie dog, I don't know, could have looked any worse. It looked like it was programmed on one of those LG like televisions they put in on a refrigerator that I've watched some movies on occasionally. Like it just looks bad. The whole movie looks like trash. None of it makes sense. It's nothing but exposition. From
every character, Gogs pointed this out. Like literally every character. All of their dialogue is exposition. Anytime anyone talks, it's amazing.
So why are you here? Well, this is what I'm going to go do right now, so maybe we should go do that.
Well, that might have worked if they just used those stiff-ass voiceovers from the first game.
Right. Like that would have been funny. We kept saying, me and TJ kept saying, where's Barry?
Where's Barry? No,
we're almost
go.
Jill sandwich.
They didn't do that line. I was so excited. Like, if you're gonna make a really bad Resident Evil movie, like lean into being stupid.
Yeah.
Like, have fun with it. At least by the end of those Mila Jovovich ones, like Umbrella was like trying to take over an Earth that was like 99% depopulated, and like
it was frozen and on fire at the same time.
Yeah. At least that shit was fucking nuts.
He needs more blankets and less blankets.
And wasn't like Mike Epps like in charge of like a Mad Max-esque like group of like wasteland raiders?
That was
like,
the third one, I think.
Yeah,
those movies got dumb.
Which one was the one where she fucking 50-50 grinds an Audi down a stair rail and comes out with a hammer fight?
Yeah, that shit. I mean, but that shit was kind of awesome too. Like compared to this, like
it's awesome talking about it.
Yeah.
But like this was joyless. Like this movie had I don't know. And you could tell they were trying to do some stuff, but it just failed.
Do you think it was like a rights thing? Like they're like, we got to make this Resident Evil movie, or we'll lose the Resident Evil rights.
I mean, it hasn't been that long since the last one with Mila Jovovich came out, was it?
No, I don't think so. But there's also
I don't know. I don't know. I guess are rights before they lapse. Is it like uniform across like the industry, or is it different for like different properties?
I think it's different per property.
Like if they didn't make this movie, like Sony would like lose joint custody of the property with Paul W.S. Anderson. Like what would
or
be
Capcom?
Paul W.S. Anderson was a producer on this movie.
Well, you know what? Yeah, I wonder if he was. Even he could put together a better movie. Maybe he did it just to prove that his movies aren't as bad.
Oh, so I was about to say. Oh no, this isn't it. Or it is, yeah. So I was about to say there's a Resident Evil Netflix series coming out, but it's already out. It's on Netflix right now.
Huh.
Yeah. There's some new zombie series
I'm sorry.
Some new Korean zombie series on Netflix.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
From the director. It's from the director of Train to Busan, I'm pretty sure.
Oh shit.
And it looks awesome. I haven't watched it yet though.
No, the show that's on Netflix right now for Resident Evil is some animated thing. There's a live action show that's coming out next year that apparently I got no, and it was made by the people that make that show Supernatural on the WB. It's gonna be bad. Yeah. It's gonna be real
I think
bad.
Sean knows a lot about that show for some reason.
Yeah, that's why I got divorced. I mean, partially. I'm like, I can't deal with this shit anymore.
All right, well, that's everything. Let's get into 2046. This is going to be brutal.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it is.
You know what's going to happen is you're going to be like, hey, Alec, what happened in this movie? He's going to go, fucking nothing. And then we're just going to argue for 45 minutes.
That's why I'm going to ask Sean, what happened in this movie, Sean?
Because I'm interested in knowing as well.
Okay.
How is this movie hard to follow?
It's not hard to follow, but nothing happens.
There you go.
The guy does the same thing over and over. That's not different things happening. That's just a guy doing the same thing. Okay, go.
Well, it's a movie that's another what do you call it? Unreliable narrator, to wit that like he is a writer and writing stories that are interspersed into the narrative.
Yeah.
So, like, as interstitials, so you're never really, I don't think you can ever really nail down what is actually happening versus what he's imagining. But it opens up with like a sci-fi conceit about a train that goes to 2046 where you could, all your memories stay locked in there forever. So I guess it's like a reverse Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. But it also like is a hotel room and that's constantly has like new girls in it. The Tony Leung from like every Hong Kong movie, and also Shang-Chi, I guess.
Yeah, he was the main villain in Shang-Chi.
The lead, and he's just like rocking like Hong Kong Clark Gable. Like he's got that like great high and tight and fucking mustache.
His fucking hair was so on point in this movie. I mean, that was just so fucking hell
I'm
of
not
a
mad
haircut.
about his hair game in this movie.
Really, it's like I'm trying to think of like what to compare this to. It's like Before Sunset. If Before Sunset was about 3 different women, basically he's using like all these women as muses in one way or another for his stories. But the whole movie's kind of about like entropy and relationships and how like a system will eventually collapse no matter what. So like he meets one woman who is the bulk of the movie takes place in the 60s in Hong Kong. But it does cut back and forth to a story that he's telling about a Japanese guy who's in the future. Again, one of the interstitial bits. The first woman he kind of is around has a Japanese boyfriend, which her dad, who was around during the Boxer Rebellion or whatever, was not pleased about. The second woman is the hottest woman in the Eastern Hemisphere.
God, yeah.
The character's name is Bai Ling, which is hysterical, but like I can't remember what the actress's name is.
Zhang Ziyi.
Zhang Ji.
Yeah. She is incredibly attractive. Like
she plays like a high dollar call girl that he has a kind of sort of relationship with. And there's also a woman who is a second character with the same name, which is Sun Yi, possibly.
It's something close to, but that well, I don't know. This is kind of jumping all around, but this is a loose sequel to In the Mood
two
for
other
Love.
movies, yeah.
And that storyline is basically the plot of In the Mood for Love, like where he kind of like the whole like. Him getting together, befriending her, and they writing a book. That's In the Mood for Love's plot. So it's in a weird way. It's like a Dollars
trilogy for Chinese romance.
Yeah, because he made 3 movies. He made When We Were Wild, which I've never seen. He made
In the Mood for Love,
In the Mood for Love, and this, and they're like, it's kind of like how, I guess a little bit more so than, I was gonna say it's kind of like Chan-Woo Park's Vengeance trilogy, where it's 3 movies that have similar themes, and they're considered a trilogy, but they're not like narratively connected so much. This one kinda is, like, very, because like Tony Leung's character is basically the same character in the Mood for Love.
Again, like that's why I made the reference to the Dollars trilogy, because like the 3 leads are basically the same character, even though they are not actually the same character.
Yeah. But anyway,
it's hard to like give like a straight narrative because it's a non-standard narrative. Like it jumps back and forth in time and like location. So,
I feel the movie is a lot less about the A to B and more about kind of the mood and the overall
it's
theme.
about the futility of relationships and love, basically. Like no matter what, there will always be something to end it, or some kind of problem, or something that can't be overcome. It's just about like it feels like a really modern movie. And the movie's not like super old, but it's also not like from last year. I can't remember. Was it like 2005 or something that came out? 2004. But like I feel like it especially now kind of captures like how we navigate relationships, at least how I have as an adult. Like it's like the one you want, you don't get. The one that wants you, you're not into. Like you're not willing to give up a certain part of yourself for that. I'm doing a terrible job at like, because this is more of a mood movie than a plot movie, so like it's hard to just kind of like run through it. This is more like a Gogs thing.
What, yeah. Wait, what's more of a Gogs thing?
You're better at just like straight up retelling like the events of things than I am. I'm just kind of all over the place with the mood of what happened.
But I mean, the movie is all mood. The movie is just, it's like, it almost, and I was trying to wrap my head around if they were actually stuck in some sort of time loop or what, or if this was like more akin to like The Fountain, where like things repeat themselves through time with different players. But in this case,
that's kind of where I land on it. Like, I don't know if it's explicit or it's ever been like actually explained, but that's kind of where I was sitting on it.
Well, because at some point the movie is taking place in like it starts in like 60, let's say 68, 69, explores like 3 years, and then it jumps back to 63, and then you meet this other woman who's like a gambler who had the same name as some woman, like the reason he went to Singapore and yada yada yada.
Right.
And there's the woman in the beginning who, I guess, this happens immediately, so no spoilers. I guess she didn't die, Lulu. She just got like assaulted, and I still don't really understand her connection to all of this, except that I guess she's just like him, like just trying to like chase love and just failing at it. And I guess all of that is being sort of explained through the metaphor or the story device of this futuristic train that takes you to this place where you can relive or potentially recapture your, I don't know, lost moments or whatever. But like,
like all your memories are locked there in place forever.
But there's a guy coming back from there for the first time anyone's ever come back, I guess because he doesn't want to remember anymore. He's tired. He's trying to break the cycle. Yeah. I don't know, but he's going to fuck a robot. Like it's, I don't know.
The whole thing is like an anti-nostalgia piece, like don't get locked into your memories sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like don't assume things, because like the thing with the android where he's like, where they give the whole like, oh, they have delayed reaction conceits, and then he's got to like at least come to realization like, no, it's not something that like some kind of like external force that I have no control over. They just didn't love me. Like that was what like he had to realize. There's I think there's like one of the saddest like bits of dialogue in any movie. You know me, I love a fucking sad, miserable movie. But with Zhang Ji, where she's trying to get him, because he's like will at least give her some kind of token money as to not make them a couple.
Yeah, that shit was brutal.
And she just says like, "I'll stay here, and I don't care if you love me, but I'll love you."
Oh, so that was.
And he's just like,
just
no,
an absolute unit. He doesn't give a shit.
Right. But then he falls in love with the woman that like has no interest in him at all.
Yeah.
Other than like as a vehicle for like her career, sort of, and even that wasn't her intent. Like she just wanted to be able to get the letters from Japan.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I don't know, like like Tony's character is so like he's like a shithead. You know what I mean? Like he's very self-centered. And
there's also, is he a con man? Like, see, I couldn't understand the whole bit with the dinners. Was that him just trying to come up with capital?
I think he's I think like kind of like right. Like
but he's also a writer. Again, this is where the kind of unreliable narration comes in.
I just
because like he
that
is telling this entire story. Like the story doesn't exist outside of
perspective, but his.
I assume that the a lot of times with the phone calls and the dinner arrangements, I thought that he was like a intermediary, like not a pimp in the right words, but like he was like a fixer.
And he also might be, because like at some point they allude to him being a journalist, like prior to all this, and like it's not a big leap to go that he went from a journalist to a consultant to a writer. So it's like, I don't know is the best. Yeah.
Well, his one weird looking friend seemed pretty convinced that he was going to be able to just bang Shang-Chi. I guess I couldn't pick up
the guy that looked like a
prostitute.
Yes. Okay. Like the guy that looked like a man-baby patriarch from fucking Yakuza.
Well, yeah, his ears look like a car with one door open. Like he had some suspicions going on.
She's got a lunchbox full of that big ass money they got.
Yeah. And then the movie just ends.
Yeah, as all things should. But I do like that, like, he's like an incredibly debonair, like, cool person, like, and he's still a fucking loser. You know what I mean? Like, it still doesn't work for him. He has basically everything, and he still can't fucking get it together.
Yeah, and he's longing for something that he never really had. Like, I think, like, one of my favorite parts of the movie is, like, you had that scene early on when him and Zhang Zi are in the taxi, and he's kind of like laying on her shoulder and being kind of vulnerable, but then like he's remembering it like with a different woman, and then he's just by himself, and it's just like, yeah, he just can't, like, he doesn't know what he wants, and he's just ultimately by himself, just kind of in this fucking loop of just self-destructiveness. Yeah, but I don't know. I can see why. Not to bury the lead. I could see why you two, there's aspects you didn't like about it, because it is kind of slow, and it's a lot of it relies on like how good the cinematography is, and it holds on a lot of shots.
Yeah,
but
there's
like I don't know.
There's a really interesting trick he does where he doesn't do like slow motion, but he'll like chop frames out of it, so you get this almost like strobe effect. Minus the flashing light.
Stutter, jarring sort of.
What's also interesting, he used 3 separate cinematographers for this movie, which is like really weird, but kind of interesting.
I have a theory about why maybe Gogs and Alec didn't like the movie.
Hold on, because we've talked to this. Guys, you two illuminate us with your thoughts real quick.
Well, let me put my theory out real quick before it gets into your thoughts, because it's dependent. I think because you two are in very loving relationships that work really well, like, you're destined to not like this movie, like, no matter what.
I mean, on some level, that might have something to do with it.
Okay.
But also, just, like, almost like right off the bat, like, I don't know, it didn't hold my interest.
Gotcha.
Like, nothing grabbed me about it, like...
We lost him at the 41-minute mark. I made a note.
You say 41?
41 minutes in.
I'm shocked it went that long.
He tried.
Like, there was nothing about like basically it's a one-hander. It's a one-man movie. And there's nothing about him that I cared enough about to like get invested in his trials and tribulations. Like, he's just kind of a dick with no redeeming qualities. There's no like nothing to show why I should care about him. So I don't. And they don't spend enough time on anybody else in the movie. Like, I don't.
Yeah, like, I can see that. It's almost like he's like a cipher to represent a part of a relationship more than a character himself. You know what I mean? It's like he's almost like the idea of dating rather than like actually being a person.
I could definitely see that. Yeah, I don't know. Go ahead, Gox.
I mean, I think I don't know. I turned the corner on like the fountain and stuff that I thought I bring that up just because I feel like this movie has a very similar vibe to this one.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's things about this movie that I appreciate. Like it's actually the way it's shot is interesting. He does a lot of like really weird, like obscured shots. Like he'll shoot a shot of someone's like from behind them, like real tight against their shoulders. So you just see the eyes of the other person's face, but not everything else. There's some really interesting stuff done from a camera perspective. Tony Leung's good in it. Everyone's good in it. I just didn't like it. I feel like
didn't connect.
It didn't connect, and I think I got the message. It's just like it just got beat over the head with it. Maybe I just don't like how sort of maybe I just don't. It doesn't resonate with just how
I think
not defeatist, but how just like
yeah. Well, it's like I think because like again like it's a. I'll speak for TJ because I know how he feels about it. Like, love very cynical, dour movies. Like, and like I get that's not for everybody, and I'm not saying one's better than the other, but like, I feel like it speaks more to like my experiences. I mean, obviously, I wasn't like handsome or ever had a good mustache, but like,
you had a great
like to my, it speaks more to my view of things, and maybe it's just like I have a dim view of things, and like one day everything will end, sort of thing.
Yeah,
but it does. It feels like I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this, but it feels like adult cynical, not like Fight Club, like teenager cynical. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that. Also, I think it's interesting as like like again, I haven't seen When We Were Wild, but like the thing about the basic plot of In the Mood for Love is basically like, and it actually gets kind of retaught a little bit in this movie, but like basically the idea is that they just fell in love in the wrong time. Like there's like a thing where. If there was like a moment where things could have worked, but then it didn't. So it's almost like in a weird way, it's kind of hopeful. And it's just like, well, if things had just shaken down just a little differently, like you never know what things could have turned out to be. But in this movie, it seems like kind of like the opposite. Like it kind of is like, oh, that's not what I meant. Like, that's not what I meant with that movie. Like, no, they would have never worked out because I think that's also why in the third act, that's why you basically have the retelling of that story. He's almost telling the audience, "Oh no, you misunderstood my point." Like, they were gonna be fucked over, like no matter what, like because of so many different reasons. I don't know. It's an interesting movie, and I think like for me personally, well, let's get a 5 knuckle shuffles. Alec. Maybe like a 0.
2046 gets
that's a hell of a rating.
2046 minus 2043.
Oh wait, hold on, let me do the math.
That's a 3.
Damn.
Those playing their home game.
I had to carry the 1.
I did not care for this movie. Like I can technically, it's an incredible movie. Like there are shots that are incredible. The lighting. Like the color palettes are incredible, but as far as the content, I did not care for it. Was not something that was in my wheelhouse. Tony Leung's great. I mean, he's a great actor. I wouldn't be opposed to watching more Tony Leung movies to see other stuff that he's done. Because as far as I know, I've seen this and Shang-Chi.
I think we're going to if Gogs sticks with the pick that he told me he was going to do.
You did City on Fire?
No, that's a good one.
Yeah, so this gets a 3. TJ.
This is an 8 for me, dog. I really, really like this movie. Again, I don't know. Like I can see it's not a movie for everybody, but like I don't know. I really like what they're putting down. What they're putting down this movie. To me, I really react to the fact that it's a romance movies have kind of, I don't know, at least in like Western kind of storytelling, you kind of know what you're going to get. It's like a cheesy like will they won't they the whole time. Something happens where they're almost together and then it doesn't work out, but then ultimately they come together in the end. And just the fact that this movie isn't that is kind of like it kind of like makes the movie for me. I like the fact that like and in a lesser movie, like Tony Leung would have come to his senses and stopped being such a fucking prick and realized that like he's kind of, you know, he's hanging his own noose, you know, like he's being he's a big part of the problem, right? But like he doesn't come to that conclusion, and he's in this loop that he's never going to break. I respect that. Like as a storytelling, as a means of storytelling, I think it's like really cool and effective, and I love how it's shot. I love like a lot of the musical cues in this movie. Like I think
the theme is fantastic. Like that violin theme that runs underneath the whole thing.
Yeah, I just think it's a really, really quality film, and a genre of movies I don't usually care for, like at all. And I haven't really talked about it, but I liked all the science fiction interludes. Like I like them, even that like they're very minimalistic, but like I like that. And of course, you give a chick purple hair, I'm always going to be into that. Like, and I too like that Japanese guy. I want to fuck robots, so always have. Also, Sean sent this to me, but the Japanese guy is the lead actor in the Judgment video games, the Yakuza produced Judgment video games, which I thought was awesome.
Wait, Yakuza produced, like the Yakuza makes a video game?
No, they made Pride Fighting Championships.
The people that make the Yakuza games
are Sega.
Yeah.
Well,
but
yeah, it's like it's something, whatever their studio is called.
I thought you were telling me that the Japanese organized crime syndicate was in the game publishing.
I mean, they probably
are.
Yeah, probably are. But I mean, I'm into it.
You know, the Poison Fist of the Pacific Rim.
They use actors sometimes to do. Well, they always use actors to do the mocap, and the guy that's like the actor in the Judgment series is the Japanese guy from this movie. So, I thought that was very cool. But yeah, I like this movie a lot. It gets an 8 for me, dog. Also, I recommend everybody watch In the Mood for Love, which is on HBO Max.
Oh.
Yeah, this wasn't, for some reason. This is like an impossible movie to find. But like, yeah, In the Mood for Love is like... Oh, there is also a 2046 Criterion that is coming out. So that'll probably be on HBO Max.
I know what 2 people are getting for Christmas.
Yeah. But anyway, so that leaves Gogs. You haven't gone yet. Go, Gogs.
No. It's gonna be a 4 for me. Like a lot of things Alex said, like it's good looking. There's a lot of interesting things that they're doing like from a cinematic perspective. Maybe it's too cynical for me. Maybe it felt like maybe I wanted a little bit more than just sort of like the message kind of being like kind of ground into the ground in my like for my take or for my sake. But I also wanted more Future Space Train, and we got a lot less of that. We got a lot more 60s like dinner party, which like, you know, based on the cover, a little disappointing.
Dude, I love how like all of your critiques boil down to not enough of subgenre X for my liking.
Yeah, not what I wanted, not what I expected. I expected a lot more. I expected Snowpiercer, and instead I got, you know, I don't know,
Heartpiercer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Heartpiercer. Yeah, actually, you know, gets a point bump for that. No, but like Tony Leung's great in it. Shang-Chi's great in it. There's no bad actors in the whole bunch. Like they're compelling. I just like I'm like, and maybe I just can't get over maybe I don't like the fact that the character is just like he is just like
he's awful.
He's awful, but he's like he doesn't like he's just like a Giga Chad awful. Like there's no.
Yeah.
I would like something redeeming out. I mean, he's doing a great job playing that character if that's what it's supposed to be, but it would have been nice to see there's no growth in this movie, right? There's no character growth.
Well, it's a very unusual like archetype because this character in a movie is usually the foil for the sweetheart guy that gets the girl in the end.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's no counter force, like at least like male wise. There's no rivalry. It's just like this guy.
Is this akin to that movie where Dane Cook would bang you and then you'd fall in the love, like you'd find the love of your life thereafter? Like, is he?
Oh yeah, good luck, Chuck.
Yeah, there you go.
Or you get killed by the Singapore authorities.
Yeah, it's one of the two. Those are your options. But yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4. Like I didn't like this is not Resident
like
Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. Just wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Sean.
This is like beyond a 10 for me. This is one of my favorite movies. It's interesting. Like again, like I think part of it too is just from being super familiar with movies from this part of the world. Like he plays a really masculine part that like is not traditional in Hong Kong cinema, where usually like the hyper masculine characters are also cops or gangsters or shooting guns nonstop.
Yeah.
Like it's a very quiet movie. It's super cynical. It's very sad, and like it's beautiful in how sad it is. Like there's like the whole thing encapsulates like the Bai Ling character, the Zhang Ji, is like the most beautiful woman on earth. She's super nice. She wants to do anything for him, and he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna like fantasize about being a Japanese guy so I can date this child that doesn't like me, that I haven't seen in 2 years." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's something like very human about that. Like it's like the old, like no matter how hot somebody is, somebody's tired of fucking them sort of thing. But it's just like
the Peg Bundy conundrum.
Right, but the thing is, like, the way she is to him, he is to everyone else. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yeah,
you know, like they're mirrors of each other, or like almost like magnets. Like, you know, they're the same. Whatever, dogs, you know, science. Where you put the two same magnets together, they bounce apart or whatever. Yeah. So,
but I mean, I think we've all like. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can say that I've been in that scenario where it's like, you know, you the person you want is the one you can't have. And the person that wants you don't have any interest in whatsoever. And I get that. But the
thing is, like, the thing that, like, I think makes it so good is that, like, objectively, the one that wants him is the best one.
Yeah.
Like, not only aesthetically, but just, like, personality-wise and everything else. But he's like, nah, it's almost like... It's one of those things where... it's like a shitty way to think, but it's like, well, if it's this easy, why would I want it? Like, you know what I mean?
I think
like,
that's how it comes across in the movie. Like, because I definitely think that there's a part in this story where he thinks he does want her. Like, I think, like, or at least,
well, it's almost like he's capacity. Like, I should do this. Like, logically, this makes sense. But like, I just don't, and I think that's like incredibly human, and I don't think that's a thing that's like touched on in media in general, but especially movies.
Yeah,
like it's just like this is like sometimes how people think, and like. It's fucking sad and it's cynical, but it's not like edgelord cynical. It's just like, hey man, like on a long enough timeline, either you'll let somebody down or someone will let you down. That's just the way the world works, and then you die. So like, sorry, I don't know, man. Like it's just like this is like right in my wheelhouse, and like the cinematography is great. The fucking like Hong Kong jazzy Christmas Eve. Like I was telling TJ, like Christmas Eve always kicks ass in movies. Like it's always so awesome looking. In real life, it sucks dick every single time. So, like, Christmas Eve in movies always, like, they're just playing Nat King Cole and people are smoking cigarettes and have great haircuts and there's, like, 2 people on the street. Or it's, like, Christmas Eve in the flashback in Scrooged where it's just the 2 of them hanging out at a fucking record store or whatever. But in real life, you're just, like, stuck behind 8 cars at a subway for, like, 6 hours.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. Like, aesthetically, I love it. Like, it's very, like, I want to say anti-Hollywood, but it is like very not what this genre of movie is generally.
Totally agree.
So I can't say enough good things about the movie. And again, I understand why you don't like it. And like, I don't think any of that's invalid. Like, I think you're right. There's not much character development. And like to wit that like Tony Leung is barely a character. He's just this kind of like,
you're right. He's like a concept.
Yeah, so like I don't know, like I love this movie, but again, like I totally understand. This isn't like a Repo Man situation where I think you're a fucking idiot if like you don't like the movie. Like I get why you don't like the movie. Like, and if I had a happier life, maybe I wouldn't like the movie either. Like I think it all depends on your kind of like worldview, whether or not you'll care for this.
All right. Who gets to go next week? Oh wait, it's Alex's birthday pick next week, isn't it? Shit.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Y'all, we're watching
a delightful a delightful cryptozoological romp called Field Freak.
Huh.
Is that on anything, or do I got to put it on the Plex?
I will check. I am not sure. Oh, it says watch on Plex, so it might be on Plex already.
Oh,
when I go to IMDb, it says watch on Plex.
Nice.
All right, well, Field Freak. All right,
it is something else.
I'm in.
Something tells me it's not going to have the depth of cinematography and score that we just watched. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, its budget was $9,000.
Oh boy!
So
$9,000.
Mulehole Radio produced Field Freak.
We've spent more on pizza.
Absolutely.
Than I spent on that movie.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I spent more on spilt liquor from East Coast to the West.
All right, everybody. That's the movie. See you all next week.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Oh, hey, we don't have to keep recording, but